The betrayal didn't sting because of the money, it stung because I realized my entire existence had been erased. While my paycheck funded their lies for 15 years, I'm 38 now. Last holiday season, I discovered that the family I sacrificed my own future for had been deceiving me for over a decade. For 15 years, I wired my parents $2,000 every single month. That's $360,000 in total. I never missed a transfer. Last Christmas Eve, I stood in the hallway and heard my mother whisper to my aunt, "Serena, she hasn't sent us a penny. She owes us everything. We fed that girl for 18 years. It's a blessing we have Marcus." Marcus is my younger brother. He's the one they fully funded through university while telling me they could only afford one tuition. And he was the investment. He's the one who hasn't held down a job in 3 years. The one taking credit for every dollar I earned. I didn't scream. I didn't break down. I didn't storm in. I simply took out my smartphone and made a single phone call. By New Year's Eve, 30 of my relatives knew exactly who had been bankrolling my parents' lifestyle all along. And my parents, they learned the hard way what happens when you discard the wrong child. Before I reveal the aftermath, please hit that like button and subscribe, but only if you value the truth. Leave a comment below. Where are you watching from right now? Now, let's rewind 15 years to the day I initiated that first bank transfer. I was 23, holding my first legitimate pay stub. I was fresh out of school with $60,000 in student loans hanging over me like a guillotine. I'd worked 3 jobs during my studies just to keep electricity in my apartment. No assistance from my folks. Not a cent. I still recall the discussion 5 years prior to that paycheck. I was 18, seated at our laminate kitchen table, acceptance letter from State University in my grip, brimming with hope. Dad, tuition is $12,000 a year. I secured a partial scholarship, but I still need... He cut me off before I could finish. "Serena, we can only fund one student. Marcus needs the help more. He's the boy. He has a family to lead one day." Mom sat beside him, nodding. "You'll figure it out, sweetie. Girls are resilient." So I figured it out. Loans, waiting tables, tutoring, the graveyard shift at a convenience store. I scrapped my way through 4 years while Marcus enjoyed a free ride when I landed my first role junior analyst at a Chicago firm. I should have been popping champagne. Instead, I opened my banking app and wired $500 to my parents. Mom called that evening. "Only 500? Her tone was heavy with disapproval. "Marcus is drowning in credit card debt. He could really use a lift." I bumped it to 1,000 the next month, then 2,000 when I got a raise. I kept waiting for gratitude, a simple acknowledgement, anything. It never arrived. Yet I kept paying month after month because that's what dutiful daughters do, isn't it? That's the lie I told myself. $360,000. That is the price of 15 years of silence. The bias didn't begin at 18. It started before I could read. I was 10 when I needed $12 for a science project books on astronomy. Nothing extravagant. "Just use the library, Dad," mumbled, buried in his paper. That same week, Marcus received a brand new gaming console. $200, no questions asked. At 16, I earned an academic award. The ceremony was Saturday afternoon. I ironed my dress the night prior, rehearsed my speech in the bathroom mirror. My parents didn't show up. "Marcus has a baseball tournament," Mom explained via telephone. "You understand, don't you?" I understood perfectly. At 18, I overheard Dad chatting with Uncle Bob during the holidays. Why invest in a girl's degree? Dad chuckled, swirling his drink. Should just get hitched and have kids, becoming someone else's burden. The table roared with laughter. I sat in the shadows, unseen. Now at 38, I ran the numbers. One insomnia-filled night, 2 grand, 12 months, 15 years. I grabbed a calculator, though the math was simple. The figure branded itself onto my brain. $360,000. That's more than most mortgages. More than the tuition they denied me. Multiplied by 30 relatives, it was more than Marcus had earned in his entire adult existence. Did they know? Did they ever sit down and calculate it? Did they ever consider the source of that wealth? I stared at the ceiling until sunrise, a new question forming. A darker question. What narrative were they spinning about me? I was about to discover the truth. Thanksgiving last year. I was late due to a work crisis. The house was humid and loud. Roasted turkey, laughter, the standard chaos of 30 family members packed into my parents' lounge. I slipped in the side entrance, hoping to avoid a scene. That's when I heard it. Aunt Ruth's voice, sharp and clear. Marcus, you are such a devoted son, supporting your parents monthly like that. I froze in the corridor. Marcus's reply made. My blood ran cold. Family is priority, Aunt Ruth. He grinned, that lazy smirk. It's the minimum I can do. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. Surely I had misunderstood. Then Mom chimed in, loud enough for the back row. Serena, as always, so occupied with her city career. She sighed theatrically. Never has time for us. Never contributes. Thank heavens for Marcus. Sympathetic murmurs washed over the room. That's tragic, someone whispered. Some kids forget their roots, another agreed. I stood paralyzed, grocery bags slicing into my fingers. 15 years of bank transfers. Screamed in my skull. Daniel found me 10 minutes later, still rigid, still mute. He took one look at my expression and dragged me outside. I heard, he whispered. Serena, I've suspected this. What do you mean? The way they look at you. The snide remarks, it never added up. He gripped my hands. We need evidence. Documentation, everything. I wanted to march back in, flip the dining table, and scream the facts. But Daniel was right. Words could be disputed. Emotions could be manipulated. Math, however, math doesn't lie. Not now, Daniel said. But soon. I didn't know soon would arrive on Christmas Eve. I couldn't sleep that night or the next. Daniel found me at 3 a.m. sitting at the table with a yellow legal pad. What are you doing? A list. My pen dug into the paper. Everything I'm losing. By staying silent, he sat across from me, waiting. $24,000 a year. I tapped the first item. That's what I send them. We could have upgraded our home, started a fund for children we don't even have. What else? My reputation. The word tasted like ash. 30 relatives believe I'm the ungrateful child who abandoned her folks. Meanwhile, Marcus, unemployed. For 3 years is the golden boy. Daniel reached for my hand, and here's the worst part. My voice broke. I'm losing my dignity. Every holiday I sit in that corner feeling 18 again. Invisible, worthless. So what's the plan? I'd been asking myself that for days. I could confront them, but it's my word against theirs. Your accountant has the data. I looked up. What? Margaret. She's handled your taxes for years. She has every transfer logged. Something shifted in my chest. A spark of hope. If I do this, I lose them, my parents. Forever. Daniel's gaze was steady. Serena, you lost them years ago. You just haven't accepted it. His words struck like a physical blow because they were accurate. I had been grieving. Parents I never actually possessed. Chasing validation that was never on the shelf. Paying for affection that wasn't for sale. I'll wait, I finally said. One last chance, one last sign. Christmas was 2 weeks out. I didn't know the sign would be so blatant. Christmas Eve. My parents' home radiated string lights and fake cheer. Daniel squeezed my hand in the driveway. You sure? No. I grabbed the wine bottle. But I need to know if Thanksgiving was Anne. Anomaly. Maybe I misheard. I hadn't misheard. Deep down I knew. But hope is a stubborn creature. The door swung open before I knocked. Oh, Mom's hug lasted 1 second. You made it. Not I'm happy to see you. Not Merry Christmas. Just, you made it. Like I was a chore the living room was bursting with. Family aunts, uncles, cousins, the tree glittered. Holiday pop music played. And in the center, like a king, sat Marcus. Dad handed him a whiskey. Marcus, tell everyone about your new venture. Marcus leaned back, soaking up the adoration. Well, I'm exploring some investment channels, real estate mostly. Just waiting for the right timing. Translation, he was unemployed and living off our parents. Off my money. Aunt Ruth caught my eye and waved. Serena, how is the job? Your mother says you're swamped. It's fine, Aunt Ruth. I forced a grin. Busy? Yes. That's a pity. She patted my arm. Family should be the priority. You know, I wanted to scream. Instead, I excused myself to find water. The kitchen was quiet, a brief sanctuary. I poured a glass, hands shaking. That's when I heard voices from the laundry room. Mom and Aunt Carol. I shouldn't have eavesdropped, but instinct fate, 15 years of suspicion made me stay. What? I heard change the world. I stood frozen by the fridge. The laundry door was ajar. Aunt Carol's voice. Diane, I don't get it. Serena is a financial analyst, right? She must earn well. Why doesn't she assist you? My heart stalled. Mom's laugh was sharp, dismissive. Her? Please, Carol. She's never sent us a dime. The glass in my hand rattled. Really? Aunt Carol sounded shocked. But she seemed successful. All for show. Mom's voice dripped with disdain. You know how she is, nose in the air. Too good for this family. We raised her for 18 years, fed her, clothed her, and she owes us. But does she care? No. I pressed my spine against the counter, trying to inhale. That's awful. Thank God for Marcus, Mom sighed. He's the one who cares for us every month without fail. He understands loyalty. Marcus was always the sweet child. Exactly. Serena is just, well, selfish. The word sliced me open. Selfish. $360,000. 180 months of automatic wires, never missing one. Not when I was ill. Not when I lost accounts. Not when Daniel and I were saving for our wedding. Selfish. I set my glass down gently so it wouldn't shatter. Because I wanted to shatter. I wanted to storm in and scream the truth until my throat tore. But something stopped me. Daniel's voice. We need proof. I pulled out my phone, scrolled to a contact I hadn't dialed in months. My finger hovered. Margaret Chun, CPA. I hit call. The frigid December wind hit my face as I stepped onto the back deck. The phone was ringing. Serena? Margaret's voice was warm but puzzled. It's Christmas Eve. I know. I'm sorry. Is everything all right? I closed my eyes, took a breath. I need documentation of every transfer I've made to my parents. The full 15 years. Silence on the line. That is a massive amount of records. I know. Can I ask why? I watched my breath mist in the winter air. Inside I heard laughter, carols, the sounds of a family that had been slandering me for years. They're telling people I've never helped them. My voice was steady, calmer than I felt. They're giving my brother credit for everything. I need proof, Margaret. Official records. Another pause. I can pull certified statements going back 15 years, have them ready by the week's end. I need them before New Year's. She stopped herself. Okay, I'll make it happen. You want everything notarized? Everything? I want it so official that no one can dispute it. Serena, her voice softened. That's a significant sum. Do you realize? $360,000? I cut her off. I know exactly what it is. And soon everyone else will too. We hung up. I stood there, watching my breath vanish into the dark. The door opened behind me. Serena. Mom's voice, sweet as syrup. What are you doing? Out here. Come inside. It's freezing. I turned to face her, the woman who had just called me selfish. Just a work call, Mom. She shook her head. Always working. That's your flaw. I smiled and followed her inside. Not for long. December 26th. Daniel was back at work. I sat alone in our apartment, staring at my phone. One call down, one to go dot, I found Thomas Reed's number, my estate attorney. We'd met 2 years ago when Daniel and I drafted wills. Back. Then I listed my parents as secondary beneficiaries. Just in case. Reed Law Office. How can I help? Thomas, it's Serena Everett. Serena, happy holidays. What can I do for you? I didn't waste time on small talk. I need to amend my estate documents, my will, and my life insurance beneficiaries. A brief pause. What kind of changes? I want to remove my parents from everything. Papers shuffled. I pictured him pulling my file. Currently, your husband Daniel is primary. Your parents, Harold and Diane Marino, are secondary. You want to remove them entirely? Yes, replace them with... I thought for a moment. A children's education charity for low-income families. The irony wasn't lost on me. Money that could have gone to parents who denied me an education, now going to help kids like the girl I once was. That's a major change, Serena. Are you sure? I've never been more sure. I can have the drafts ready by January 2nd. You'll need to sign. Perfect. If you don't mind me asking... It's a family matter, Thomas. My voice was firm. Let's leave it at that. After we hung up, I sat in the quiet. 2 calls, 2 chains. Broken. Now all I needed was Margaret's paperwork and a moment to make everyone see the reality. New Year's Eve was 6 days away, December 30th, 2 days before the party. My email pinned at 7:47 p.m. Margaret Chen, CPA. Subject, documentation package. Confidential attachment. *Moreno _transfers _2011-225 certified.pdf. My finger trembled over the trackpad. I clicked. The PDF loaded slowly, page after page. 47 pages total. Every single transfer listed chronologically. Date, amount, confirmation number. March 2011, $500. April 2011, $1,000. January 2024, $2,000. All the way through December 2025. At the bottom of the last page in bold, total transfers, $360,000. Certified by Margaret Chen, CPA, notarized December 29th, 2025. **** Daniel came home to find me at the printer. Was that 47 pages? I watched each sheet slide out, warm and real. 15 years, every single dollar. He picked up the first page, read it, set it down. Serena, I know that's... He ran a hand through his hair. That's a house. That's 2 tuitions. That's everything we could have had. I gathered the pages into a neat stack. Everything they said I never gave. I opened my leather briefcase, the one I use for client meetings, and slid the documents inside. My phone buzzed. Email from Thomas Reed. * estate documents finalized. Ready for signature January 2nd. *. One more piece of the puzzle. Daniel watched me close the briefcase with a click. You're really doing this? They told everyone I never helped. Daniel, they told everyone Marcus was their savior. I met his eyes. They're hosting a New Year's Eve party, 30 relatives. And I'm going to give them something to discuss. Oh, drive you? No, I shook my head. I need to do this alone. December 31st, 8 p.m. Daniel idled the car outside my parents' house. Every window blazed. Bass thumped from inside. At least 30 cars lined the street. I can wait, Daniel offered. Just in case. Give me 2 hours. I grabbed the briefcase. If I'm not out by 10, come find me, Serena. He caught my hand. Whatever happens in there, I'm proud of you. I kissed his cheek. Then I stepped into the cold. The door was unlocked. I let myself in. The living room hit me like a wave. Noise, heat, bodies everywhere. Cousins I hadn't seen in years. Aunts drinking. Champagne. Kids running around. And my mother holding court by the fireplace. She spotted me. Her smile flickered. There, then gone. Serena, you came. She didn't move to hug me. What's with the bag? Working tonight? Just some documents. I kept my voice light. Something I need to handle. Her eyes narrowed. Suspicious, but guests were watching, so she played nice. Well, put it somewhere. It's a party. I set the briefcase by my feet. Didn't let it out of my sight. Across the room, Dad was mid-story. A circle of relatives hanging on his words. And you know how hard it's been since retirement? Fixed income, bills. But Marcus has been incredible. He clapped my brother on the shoulder. Couldn't have done it without him. Marcus beamed. Actually beamed. I found an empty chair in the corner. Sat down. Watched. Aunt Ruth drifted over. Serena, honey, you look tired. Everything okay? Just waiting for the right moment, Aunt Ruth. She gave me a puzzled look but moved on. The clock read 8:15, less than 4 hours until midnight. I could wait. 9:30 p.m. The party was peaking. I hadn't moved. The briefcase sat at my feet like a loaded weapon. Aunt Carol clinked her glass. The room quieted. Harold, Diane, speech time. Dad stood, chest puffed with false modesty. Well, since you insist. He raised his champagne. It's been a tough year, folks. You know our struggles, but we're blessed to have family who truly cares. He looked pointedly at Marcus. Our son has been our rock. Every month, helping us make ends meet. That's what real family looks like. Murmurs of approval. Then Cousin Beth gestured toward me. What about Serena? She's doing so well. The room turned. 30 pairs of eyes. Mom jumped in. Serena. She laughed, but it was cold. Oh, honey, she's very busy. Big city job. Doesn't have time for family. That's a shame, Uncle Bob said. Mom wasn't done. Sometimes I wonder. She dabbed her eyes. We raised her for 18 years, gave her everything, and now ... double quote, she trailed off with a sniffle. She doesn't even call, Dad added, let alone help. The sympathy in the room was palpable. Per Harold, per Diane, such devoted parents. Such an ungrateful daughter. I looked at Marcus. He was setting his shoes. Silent. My hands gripped the handle. Aunt Ruth spoke up, looking at me. Serena, I don't understand. You make good money. Why don't you help your parents? Every eye fixed on me. This was it. I stood up slowly. Thank you for asking, Aunt Ruth. The room went silent. I lifted the briefcase onto the coffee table. The lock clicked open, impossibly loud. What are you doing? Mom's voice was sharp, warning. I didn't answer. I removed the stack. 47 pages, certified. I think it's time everyone saw this. I spread the documents on the table. The first page was clearly visible. Bank transfer record. Serena Everett to Harold and Diane Marino. What the hell is this? Dad stepped forward. This is a complete record of every transfer I've made to you and Mom. My voice was calm, starting March 2011 and ending last month. Aunt Ruth was closest. She picked up the first page. $2,000? Her eyes widened. You sent $2,000 every month? I nodded. For 15 years, the pages began to circulate. Cousin to cousin. I watched their faces change, confusion, disbelief. Math being done in heads. Wait, Uncle Bob flipped to the last page. The total here says $360,000. Gasps rippled through the room. That can't be right, Aunt Carol breathed. It's certified. I pointed to the signature. By my CPA, notarized official bank records. The room erupted in whispers. Mom's face had gone white. Dad's hand trembled. Marcus hadn't moved. Serena. Dad's voice cracked. This is a private family matter. You made it public. I cut him off. You just told everyone Marcus supports you. That I never help. That I abandoned my family. I gestured to the papers. So let's let everyone see the truth. The clock read 9:47. I need to pause here. If you've ever felt like your contributions were invisible while someone else took the credit, you are not alone. Before I show you the fallout, if this story resonates, hit like and subscribe to Wins of Thought. Tell me in the comments, have you ever been the invisible one? Back to the living room. The papers passed like sacred text. Aunt Ruth read aloud, March 2011, $500. January 2015, $2,000. Every single month, I confirmed. Uncle Bob had his calculator out. $24,000 a year times 15 years. That is $360,000. Exactly. Cousin Beth looked at my parents. Harold, Diane, is this real? Mom's mouth opened, closed. No sound. Dad tried to recover. Those could be doctored. Anyone can fake ... They're certified. Aunt Ruth's voice cut like ice. I see the seal. These are legal documents, Harold. I don't understand. Aunt Carol pressed her chest. You told us Marcus was sending money. He is, Dad said desperately. Marcus helps in other ways. What other ways? Uncle Bob challenged. Because according to this, Serena has been paying your mortgage for 15 years. I watched the walls they built crumble. Marcus does contribute, Mom insisted weakly. He just doesn't keep records like she does. Then where are his statements? Cousin Beth asked. If he's sending money, show us. Every head turned to Marcus. He stood frozen, red-faced. I down single quotes, T ... quotes. You don't what? Marcus? Aunt Ruth's tone was hard now. Dad stepped forward, hands raised. Everyone, please. Private matter. We shouldn't air our... You just gave a speech. Uncle Bob boomed. You stood up and told everyone Marcus was your savior. You called Serena ungrateful in front of 30 people. That's not private, Harold. Mom tried a different approach. She dabbed her eyes. Serena, honey, why would you do this? Embarrass us like this after everything we've done for you? There it was, the victim card, not tonight. Everything you've done for me, I kept my voice level. You refused to pay for my college. You told Dad to invest in Marcus because girls don't need education. I took out 60 grand in loans while Marcus got a free ride. That's not, Mom sputtered. And when I graduated, when I earned real money, I sent it to you for 15 years. I pointed at the table. That's not embarrassment, Mom. That's the truth. But we raised you, Dad shouted. 18 years. That counts for nothing. I spent $360,000 over 15 years. I met his eyes. I'd say we're even. The room went dead silent. Aunt Ruth stepped between us. Harold, Diane, I think you owe everyone an explanation. Why did you say Marcus was supporting you? Mom's face crumpled. Dad clenched his jaw. Silence. The spotlight shifted to my brother. Marcus stood by the fireplace, glass still in hand. Uncle. Bob walked up to him. Marcus, let's hear it. Have you been sending money? I ... Marcus's voice cracked. I've helped out. Here and there isn't $2,000 a month. Aunt Ruth crossed her arms. Proof? I don't keep records. Convenient, someone muttered. I stepped forward. Marcus, I'm not asking you to prove anything, but you sat there for years, letting them give you credit for my money. You heard them call me ungrateful. You knew. His eyes met mine. Serena, I DID in single quotes T dot dot. Didn't what? No. Care? I shook my head. Every holiday, you let them paint me as the villain. Cousin Beth spoke up. Is it true, Marcus? Did you know Serena was the one actually helping? His silence stretched like a rubber band. I thought dot 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 double quotes. His burr was barely audible. I thought maybe she was also sending money dot 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 in addition to dot dot. In addition to what? Uncle Bob pressed. What have you contributed? Marcus looked at the floor. Nothing. He had contributed nothing. I see. Aunt Ruth's disappointment was heavy. Well, I think we've all learned something. The clock read 10:15. The party was dead. The champagne sat untouched. I reached into my briefcase. I have a few announcements. Dad looked like he wanted to stop me, but the room held him in place. First, I faced my parents. Starting January, I will no longer be sending money. Not because I can't afford it, but because I don't owe anyone anything. Mom let out a small cry. Second, last week, I updated my life insurance. Mom and Dad, you're off the list. If something happens to me, the money goes to an education fund for low-income kids. I saw Aunt Ruth nod asterisk. Third, I revised my will. The inheritance you were counting on is gone. Every penny will go to people who won't deny where it came. From Mom sank onto the couch. How could you, after everything? After everything, I almost laughed. You lied about me for 15 years. You gave Marcus credit for my money. You never said thank you. We're your parents, Dad shouted. And I was your daughter, I said, deliberate. Past tense. You raised me for 18 years. I supported you for 15. I funded vacations you said Marcus paid for. I covered medical bills. Where I sit, you still owe me about $100,000 in emotional damages. But I'll let that slide. No one stopped me as I walked toward the door. Serena, wait. Mom reached out. I didn't turn. I was almost at the door when a hand caught my arm. Aunt Ruth. Her eyes glistened. She pulled me into a hug. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I didn't know. All these years, I believed them. It's okay, Aunt Ruth. It's not okay. She pulled back. I believed the lies. That's not your fault. Uncle Bob appeared beside her. Serena, I owe you an apology too. The way I talked. About you. He shook his head, unashamed. One by one, relatives approached. Aunt Carol was staring at my parents with new eyes. I lent Marcus $20,000, she said quietly. Your parents said it was for a sure thing investment. My stomach dropped. There was no investment, was there? She shook her head. The web of lies was massive. Dad pushed through. Everyone, this is blown out of proportion. Serena is emotional. Harold? Uncle Bob's voice stopped him. Stop talking. Mom sat crying. Real tears, I suspected. Tears of getting caught. I turned to the room. I don't need apologies. I don't need sides. I just needed the truth heard. Now you've heard it. I lifted my briefcase. The door felt lighter than I expected. The cold air hit my face like a promise. Daniel's car was waiting, engine running. I climbed in. How'd it go? It's done. The moment I walked out, I felt something I hadn't felt in 15 years. Freedom. If you're still watching, ask yourself, would you have done the same? Or stayed silent? Drop your answer below. And if you want to see the aftermath, keep watching. We're almost there. The first week of January brought a flood of messages from everyone except my parents. Aunt Ruth texted daily. Called your mother. She just cried and blamed circumstances. Uncle Bob sent a long email apologizing for every sideways glance. That's on me. Cousin Beth called. Serena, I told my mom. She's furious. The whole book club knows. My parents' humiliation was spreading. I should have felt guilty. I didn't. On January 8th, Marcus texted. Was that necessary? Mom and Dad are devastated. I stared at it. Responded. You stayed silent and took credit for 15 years. Don't lecture me. No reply. The silence from my parents was deafening. 10 days, no call. They weren't remorseful. They were regrouping. Daniel found me staring out the window. Any word? Nothing. How do you feel? Light, I said. Like I dropped a weight I didn't know I was carrying. Let's call freedom. January 28th, my phone rang. Dad, I let it ring 4 times. Answered. Serena. His voice was stripped of bluster. We need to talk. I'm listening. The financial situation. It's difficult. We've been making adjustments, but you sent the money. Yes. We need help, Serena. Just for a few months, I looked at the ceiling. No, Dad, I was clear. That chapter is closed. Your mother is selling furniture, the dining set, the set I was never good enough to sit at. That's her choice. How can you be so cold? I laughed. Not cruel, Dad. Tired. I supported you while you called me worthless. That's not cold. That's consequences. You told everyone you wished Marcus had been born first. Remember Thanksgiving 2019? I heard you. Silence. He didn't remember. Dad, I don't want anything. I don't need an apology. I just need you to understand. I'm done. This isn't punishment. This is boundaries. The line went quiet. Then a click. He hung up. For the first time, I was okay with that. February 5th. Aunt Ruth called, agitated. Serena, I found out something. Your brother. What? Do you know his debt? Some credit cards? Some. She laughed bitterly. 40 grand on cards. But worse. He borrowed 20 grand from Carol 2 years ago. Your parents said it was a tech startup. There was no startup. Exactly. He used it to pay old debts. Now Carol wants it back. He's been living off your parents, living off you for years. The picture was complete. My money funded Marcus's charade. They built a house of cards, I whispered, and used my checks as the foundation. I'm so sorry, Serena, Ruth sighed. We all trusted them. You believed what good people believe about family. I'd like to be part of your family if you'll have me. My eyes stung. You already are? February 12th. An email from a stranger. Subject, from someone who understands. Dear Serena, my name is Patricia. I'm your father's sister. I cut contact with Harold 30 years ago. Ruth told me your story. You are not alone. Dad had a sister. He never mentioned her. They saw me the same way. The disposable daughter. I left Ohio and never looked back. Best decision I ever made. The full quote is, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. The bonds we choose are stronger. I live in California. I have a family who loves me unconditionally. If you wanted to talk, I'm here. Asterisk, asterisk, I read it 3 times. A whole person erased, just like me. I typed back, Patricia, yes. I want to meet you. The pattern went back generations. But it ended with me, March 3rd. Email from Mom, subject, please read. Dear Serena, I know you're angry. We made mistakes. We should have been more grateful. But sweetheart, everything we did was for the family. Marcus struggled. You're our daughter, blood is blood. Please come home. I read it. She was sorry she got caught. She invoked blood, not love. I replied, Mom, that's not an apology. That's a minimization. You told the family I was ungrateful. You built your retirement on my money while calling me selfish. Our relationship can only exist on truth, not guilt. If you want to try again, really try, you know where I am. But I won't wait anymore. I've been waiting 38 years. Sent, close laptop. Went for a walk, December 31st. 1 year later, I'm writing this from the sunroom of our new house. 3 bedrooms, the down payment, the 24 grand I didn't send this year. Last month, I flew to California. Patricia picked me up. We talked for 6 hours about the courage to break free. They told me I'd regret leaving, she said over wine, that I'd die alone. She smiled at her husband. Does it look like I did? No. Aunt Ruth calls every Sunday. She's the family I never had at my mother. I talked to your parents, she told me. They sold the second car. Marcus moved back in. They're struggling. I know. How do you feel? I don't wish them harm, I said. But I spent 15 years setting myself on fire to keep them warm. I can't do that anymore. My parents never responded to my last email. Some doors closed because people won't walk through. I've made peace with that tonight, sitting on my porch, watching the sunset. I know this. Being a good daughter doesn't mean funding lies. Love isn't a debt with interest. If someone only loves you when you're useful, that's not love. That's a transaction. I don't hate them. I feel grief. Mourning the parents I wished for. But I gained freedom, self-respect, and a marriage built on honesty, real relatives. And Patricia. Daniel opens the door. Hey, he sets down tea. What are you thinking about? Just how different this year feels. Good different? I take his hand. Yeah, good different. For the first time in 38 years, I'm not performing. I'm just here. And that is finally enough. I want to leave you with this. Your worth is not measured by your sacrifice. People who love you won't erase you. Setting boundaries isn't abandonment, it's survival. If this story helped you, please subscribe to Winds of Thought, and share. Check the description for more. Leave a comment. What would you have done? I read every one. Until next time.